you're telling me it's impossible to breed black people out. That's basically what you're saying.
No, no. What I'm saying is this: it's how you identify yourself. So let's say
Right.
that's what it is. How you identify yourself.
If you have 1.2 billion black people on the planet, how will you breed them all out?
Put me in the chair.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted to answer that. I wanted to answer that because this is the debate that constantly comes up. It keeps coming up and keeps coming up, and part of the reason it comes up because it is a white supremacy myth. You cannot. It's impossible. You can't do it.
You can't breed them out because you're dominant.
You got recessive and you got dominant. Black dominant.
One time.
We got recessive and dominant, correct? We have recessive and dominant genes. We know that.
Even white racists say that the reason they wanted to commit genocide on black people is because they said black people, Africans and black people have dominant genes, and if they would get bred out, if they made it with them, that's how come to be a white person you have to be classified as a white person. You have to be like 98% pure.
But this is why. See, this is the thing with me with this whole argument that everybody keeps having. You gotta understand the history of white people. If they were able to breed us out, that would be their number one tactic.
Okay,
because they've done it before. They've done it before with other races, like with other sects of white people.
American Indians, yeah.
Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. Because understand, you're talking to a guy that I defend Tariq Nasheed, where people try to put that on Tariq, and I say,
but what does that have to do with it?
My point is to say that chicks that swirl. I'm not saying it's an existential threat, but the reality of the situation is Kerosene is on the white man's team.
So what? Okay, we don't know that. Nobody gonna argue with that.
So what?
So she has a platform and basically putting out misinformation and lies to black women, corrupting the culture of black women and further corrupting it. That's my point.
So if I don't see it that way. Hold on, let me see. If black women could actually cross over the line that easily and get better resources and get more stuff, Kerosene would be a multi-millionaire. The reason that she isn't is because black women can't do it. Even what's his name? Donovan Sharp said the exact same thing. Because he dates white women. He said, how come black women can't cross over? Is because they are the least desired in this culture. They can't.
I understand that, but
it's not GBS. Isn't that basis on the attitude aspect and not the physical? Because white men do find black women attractive, but I always hear the white women. I mean, I always hear white men kind of emphasize, man, the attitudes is
white men,
but they find them attractive though, don't they?
But
some of them. Well, go ahead, Angry Man, and then Cerulean.
But white men don't pick. White men do not pick their mates the same way black men pick their mates. It's not something that there's a lot that's playing into it. There's a lot that's playing into it. So they're picking their mates based on their ability to actually cooperate with them and be part of their team. That's why these women who are swirling, that's why they have to assimilate themselves into a different type of woman, because they're not going to be accepted by white
in a different culture. Cerulean, go ahead.
Yeah, this goes back to the social capital of what I was talking about, the cultures of women.
Yes.
You see, the problem is most black people, especially black women, all their education, they have not learned how to conduct business.
No.
Dating, bedroom politics, marriage, all of that is pertaining to business. That is why it is easier for a black man to cross over if he is smart than it is for a black woman is if she is smart, because she's lacking social capital. That is why you do not see white men running over here to pilfer black women. Yeah, they'll fetishize and come and slum with them.
Yeah.
but they're
Well,
not about I would argue that a black man doesn't even have to be smart.
No.
Yeah. What?
Yeah,
As
as a matter of fact, black men between the ages of like 16 and 38, 36. Okay, they still have their physical capabilities that make them desirable. Okay.
Black.
In fact, the biggest market for black men is after you pass 40 and it would pass the wall, because they can procreate with whoever they want to because they're not having children anymore. So we see a lot of white women choosing black men that are older. A big market for black men after 40. Yeah.
Go ahead, say something. But my question is this: should I just choose a woman who is no good because she's black, or should I choose a good woman? That's the question people.
Okay, everybody's okay. Can I I want to make myself clear.
Okay. Hold on. Wait a minute. Anchorman was next and everything. He had something to say.
He's gonna Edward's gonna clarify his point because he's in the chair right now. He's gonna make himself clear for about 30 seconds, Edward.
Yeah, I guess 45.
I'll give you a minute. Give you a whole second.
On the egg timer.
Run the timer.
Here's the thing, guys. Megatron talks a lot, because I know that's his handle, talks a lot about social capital. And I'm going to tell you something. Social capital in the now and in the future is going to be more and more what dictates power. Umar says it this way. When DJ Envy was saying everything will be fixed if we all just love each other. And Umar responded, who the fuck? He didn't say it this way, but he said, who the fuck is we? And I'm not, my thing is, if you were somebody, like let's say Donovan Sharp, I can fuck with Donovan Sharp on a business level, but reality of the situation is I'm gonna hold Donovan Sharp to a higher bar because his suspect list might be higher, because and O'Shea said this, and he's a conservative. He said a big sign of conservative coons are they with white women. I'm not saying I'm gonna judge you, but to say that then I'm not gonna pay attention.
Oh my God.
Okay. All right. 10 seconds. 10 seconds there. We're 10 seconds.
What point is this idea that everybody's laughing, but this idea that you ain't got all these people. I'm just trying to say, when you're doing business and you're working with a group, you have to be unified. This is why the Italians said you had to be Italian. There's
all right.
Okay, can I go?
Okay.
Can I go?
No. Hold on. Wait. Angry Man, and then you, CG3. Go ahead, Angry Man.
Like this.
No, Edward. Your minute was up. I gave you a minute and a half. Go ahead, Angry Man.
This whole thing. This is what makes me disappointed when it comes to this whole conversation. Because Dr. Umar, with his who are we, as much as he runs around and claims that he has a problem with white supremacy, his entire attitude is white supremacy, but it's black supremacy. You understand what I'm saying? And what he doesn't realize is that this same concept that he's running around with, and a lot of black people are running around with this purist attitude that doesn't even apply to black people. The reason that white people have to have a purist attitude is because they have weak genetics.
That's true.
Black people don't have to have a purist attitude because a black man can get with a white woman and produce a black child.
Man, we're fucking weapons free.
Right, Angry Man.
Edward, it's not your turn.
Watch this. Hold on. Watch this.
Okay, go ahead.
30 seconds.
Watch this.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Watch this. Edward, if a black dude is tired of black women's attitudes and stuff, and he goes and gets a white woman that is part of the patriarchy, and then he produces a black child with that white woman, he produces what you would call a biracial black woman, and she has a mind state of being in the patriarchy, meaning a lot easier to deal with, and that biracial woman goes out and gets a black man. What is the child gonna be?
Tariq Nasheed was
No, answer the question. Answer the question.
Tariq Nasheed said that if you are going to get a biracial woman, you want to get one with a white mother and black father. So
but see, that's not what I'm. But see what
they're gonna have. Yes,
Edward, answer the question. Edward, answer the question first, and then go into your explanation.
That's the answer.
Exactly. Now check this out.
They can go reverse too, though.
But hold on. If that woman if that woman's genetics, if a white woman's genetics is what everybody's making it out to be, as far as saying, well, if you mix with somebody that's going to make the child something else, there's no possible way that that child would be black.
No, let me answer that. I will answer that. Just because it takes a couple of more generations to phase out blackness doesn't, and it's harder to do it, doesn't mean it can be done. Okay.
But you can't phase out. You cannot phase out. How can you phase out blackness when white people originally come from black people?
Ronda Rousey, nobody has said she's a black woman. So by your logic, she is a black woman.
Because they didn't know. Because they didn't know that she's considered a Hispanic woman. She's not considered a white woman.
Right. Look, here's the thing. Right. Here's the thing. You're talking about Ronda Rousey. You're looking at her phenotype. I can show you a cousin in my family that's the same complexion as Ronda Rousey, but she's black. You cannot base it on phenotype. You have to base it.
Hold on, Edward. No, Edward, come on, Edward. Let him finish, and then because I'm allowing you guys to go back and forth. There's 8 other people in the chat. Okay, so let the angry man finish, then you, and then we're gonna go to other people because you guys are dominating the conversation right now. Everybody else wants to get in. No, it's okay. Everybody's listening to it. It's okay, but I want Edward to calm down and take turns so we can get this clear. Okay. So
continue with the Royal Rumble.
Here's the
Angry Man's about to fly off a ladder real quick.
Yeah.
Here's
the issue.
You made him angry.
Historically, the entire reason that white Europeans had to get the Moors out of Europe is because they realized that if they let the Moors remain in Europe, in a couple of generations, there would no longer be any white people.
And the same thing's going on right now.
It's going on right now. And that's why they're trying to, and you know what? That's why they're trying to push this narrative of biracial and lighter people are not. It's the same thing they've been doing back in the day when they started classifying certain groups as white people that were not originally classified as white.